Yeah, like mom's like, oh, no one raised their hand, right? Okay, but that's just kind of like, that's the feeling, like that's the picture of Judah right now. Like God is just kind of looking down, and he's like, they just did evil. Like name it, they did it. They did what was right in their own eyes. They just did evil. And if you go back once again to that 2 Chronicles 12:14, this is so significant for life. Why did they do evil? Right? It's said of Rehoboam, but I think it can be said of all of Judah, and it can be said of us. They did evil because they did not set their hearts after God. See, your decision about who God is and who God will be will produce fruit in your life. We always think, right, correct the behavior, get good behavior, be good, and then get God, right? I mean that is, it kind of starts, even before we have a relationship with God. Most of us think, like if you just kind of, I talk to my neighbors all the time, if you kind of talk to people who don't know Jesus, they'll think, I need to be good. Once I get good enough, God will accept me, right? And then, and right, so it's behavior, then God. With God, it is always the opposite. Come to me, God says. The fruit of a relationship with me will be a life well lived. Never get it reversed. It's grace. It's what Jesus Christ has done for you. So you may have come here this morning and your life is an absolute mess. Right? I mean, when you look at your life and you're like, it's a mess. You look at your marriage and you're like, it's a mess. You look at your relationship with your boss. You look at your relationship with your friend. You look at your relationship with the person you're dating. Whatever it is, you look at and you're like, okay, I just got to get good. Or if you're a parent and you're like, man, my kids are a mess, right? And you're like, we just got to get them good, right? No, okay? Set their heart after God. Even for you, come to the Lord. Get right with God through the blood of Jesus. And then there will be fruit from it. You will see the change in their lives. It's God, then the behavior. And so if your behavior is just evil, right? If you're just kind of in this place, right? Get right with God. If there is conflict throughout your home, get right with God. Set your heart after God. And then the fruit of that will be seen. See, when your heart is set after God, your faith will be seen. People will look at your life and they will go, we see God. There will be a joy in your life. There will be a joy in pain. There will be a joy in suffering. There will be a joy in your life. And people will be like, what's up with the smiles? Why do you laugh? Why do you have this joy in the midst of crisis? Because I've got God. You know what I mean? Like there's a day coming that all this stuff, right? We just sang it. There's a day coming that there's going to be no more weeping. There's going to be no more tears. There's going to be no more pain. No more. Right? It's coming. It's coming our way. When your heart is set after God, your faith will be seen. Now, if your faith is not seen, right? If you can't see it, then that should be a big warning sign for you. A big warning sign. I got to get right with God. I've been led astray. Second thing that you'll see, when your heart is set after God, God will be worshipped. God will be worshipped. Now, we throw this worship word around a lot as Christians, right? Within the church, yeah, worship, we'll worship. Okay? Let me just try to simplify this word worship for you. Worship, simply defined, is what you give worth to. And biblically, worship is always surrounded by some type of sacrifice. Some type of thing that you're bringing. Okay? So when we think of what we worship, think of in your life, think of what do you give worth to? And what is it that you kind of like, what do you offer up? So let's just talk about this as a congregation, because I thought I could probably bring out all these points. But I thought, let me hear from you. What does our culture, okay? So what does our culture worship? Let's just throw out some things. What does our culture worship? Themselves, money, sports. Man, you're so mean. How could you say sports? What else do we worship? Stuff. TV, entertainment, right? Now, how do we know our culture worships that? And how do you know you worship that? How can you tell? Because we do it, right? Because it's what we give worth to. It's what we give time to. It's what we spend our money on. I was just thinking about this morning. So, think about when the Cubs were good. And some of you are like, when was that? All right, I mean, they were pretty good like 3 or 4 years ago, right? So on Friday, I was offered 4 Cubs tickets, right? And I was like, I'm not going. In fact, you'd have to pay for my parking, pay for my gas, pay for hot dog and fries for me to go to a Cubs game right now, right? That's just like the reality of that. But before that, 3 or 4 years ago, right, if you said to me, or maybe put yourself in my shoes, what else do you guys like? Maybe like a concert, Bon Jovi concert? Right? Yeah, Tracy's all over that, okay? Something else, right? If you were just kind of offered something, right? Hey, I'll give you Cubs tickets for $100. And you're like, absolutely, like, how quickly can I get my money out to pay you? Right? And then it's like the church like passes the offering basket and you're like, why does the church always want my money? You know what I mean? Like, what's up with the church? Okay, so what do you give worth to? Have you ever realized how quickly it is to be able to go out to eat and spend $80 on a meal, right? And it's amazing how when your kids get older, the bill gets higher. Fusex, can you relate to that bad boy? No, not at all. Okay, so anyway, as Mike has gotten older, it's like, man, the bill. So, but how quickly we kind of make these quick, let's just go out to dinner. And what do we give worth to? Food. Good food, right? And we end up, wait, the Bolingbrook Health Clinic needs money for backpacks? Maybe, here's a 5, right? You want to go out to eat? Yeah, absolutely, let's do it. You know, what do we give worth to? What do we worship? And don't think for a second when it comes to worship, especially on a Sunday morning, that you will ever encounter God without coming with something to give up. Don't ever think that the second that this team provides for you some like euphoric experience maybe, without you bringing something, it ain't worship. All right? It's what we bring. It's what we offer up. And when your heart is set after God, God will be worshiped. He will be given worth to. He will be thanked. He will be praised. He will be lifted up. He will be glorified. He will be seen. That's when you know your heart is set after God. When your heart is set after God, God will be worshiped. It'll be less of you and more of Him. Less of you, more of Him. Less of you, more of Him. Is God being worshiped in your life? Is God the one who is being thanked and praised and lifted up? Is God the one that you are offering your very best to? The best time, the best financial things, the best stuff? Or is something else getting it? Look at 1 Kings chapter 14, 23. This says it all about Judah. They also set up for themselves high places, sacred stones, and Asherah poles on every hill and under every spreading tree. There were even male shrine prostitutes in the land. The people engaged in all the detestable practices of the nations the Lord had driven out before the Israelites. Essentially, you could sum it up this way, right? They worshipped what everybody else worshipped. Essentially, that's what you can say about verses 23 to 24, right? The Israelites, Judah, worshipped what everyone else worshipped. And people, we can fall into the exact same temptation. We can end up worshiping what everyone else worships. From what we watch, from the entertainment that we do, from where we spend our money, from what we do with our time. Is your life just like everyone else's? Are you worshiping what everyone else worships? It's a big sign that your heart is not set after God. Because when your heart is set after God, your faith will be seen and God will be worshipped. Let's look at verses 25 to 28. In the 5th year of King Rehoboam, Shishak, king of Egypt, attacked Jerusalem. He carried off the treasures of the temple of the Lord and the treasures of the royal palace. He took everything, including all the gold shields Solomon had made. So think about this is what King Rehoboam does. So King Rehoboam made bronze shields to replace them and assigned these to the commanders of the guard on duty at the entrance to the royal palace. Whenever the king went to the Lord's temple, the guards bore the shields, and afterward they returned them to the guard room. Here's what I see in this text, and I didn't see this in any commentary, at least that I read. Here's what I get. Because Shishak from Egypt came as a discipline to Rehoboam. You guys learned that last week. Came as a discipline. It came as a wake-up call to Rehoboam. Set your heart after God, right? God was making it clear to Rehoboam. And what does Rehoboam do? He covers it up. He replaces the lost of gold shields and puts in place bronze shields. And I think what's going on in the text, I think what Rehoboam is doing is he likes, you know what, I just kind of want to cover up my sin a little bit. I kind of want to pretend that I want to pretend that Shishak never came. I want to see those bronze. I mean, I have to make them bronze because I have to kind of replace the gold ones because I don't have the gold anymore. Shishak stole it all. I want to replace what was authentic. I want to replace that. I kind of want to cover up what I once did that led to my discipline. So I won't have to think about my sin too much. You know what I mean? And we have a tendency to do the same thing. Let's kind of pretend that we really didn't do that. Let's pretend that we really kind of set our heart after God, even though it's not really set heart after God. But let's kind of pretend that it is. Let's kind of cover up. Let's kind of live this fake life out there. And people can see, look at the bronze shields. Wow, look at Ron's life. He's got it all together. Like, let's kind of pretend, that everything's okay on the outside.